Let's start off the new year with another Which is Better. This one comes from Red Bandit, who wanted me to compare two movies about magical nannies, Nanny McPhee and Mary Poppins. Interestingly, Nanny McPhee was based on Christiana Brand's book Nurse Matilda, which was published in 1964, the same year Disney's big-budget adaptation of Mary Poppins was released. And, as I will mention, that's not the only curious connection between the two properties. But which film do I prefer? One could probably argue nostalgia wins on this one, as I've seen my choice quite a number of times over the years, and I only saw the other movie for the first time a few weeks ago. But I have to go with Mary Poppins. I've talked about Mary Poppins extensively before, but it really is a delightful production that has held up marvelously over the years. In adapting P.L. Travers' stories, Walt Disney, director Robert Stevenson, songwriters Richard and Robert Sherman, and the rest of the Disney team created a wonderful musical entertainment. At the center is Julie Andrews, who makes us believe she really is practically perfect in every way. The songs have earned their place as classic tunes. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious will always be my favorite, but A Spoonful of Sugar, Feed the Birds, and Chim Chim Cheree are brilliant and unforgettable songs too. On a visual effects level, Mary Poppins absolutely delivers, as we see the incredible feats Mary Poppins performs, and to this day, I'm amazed at what they were able to pull off at the time. The animated sequence is another highlight of the film, but it's not just the musical numbers and technical wizardry that has allowed Mary Poppins to stand the test of time. It's the way it shows Mary helping this family, both the children and their father. This movie is probably one of the few that's been able to pull off the workaholic father plot, also helped immensely by David Tomlinson's fantastic performance. So he ends up being just as sympathetic, maybe even more so, as his children. I feel like I'm just regurgitating what most people have said about Mary Poppins over the years, but it really is deserving of its everlasting praise. As for Nanny McPhee, I found this to be a rather charming and very funny fantasy film. A lot of the credit for this goes to Emma Thompson, who not only plays the title role, but also wrote the screenplay. You can definitely see a lot of her sense of humor in the finished film, which adds to the enjoyment of it, and her performance has a lot of brilliant, subtle layers. A lot of her portrayal of Nanny McPhee consists of knowing glances as she tests the children. What especially struck me about this movie is how naughty the children are. Jane and Michael Banks in Mary Poppins had their bad moments, but they were still otherwise well behaved. The brown children in Nanny McPhee are terrible twerps, and I really admire that about the film. The movie is essentially about them learning to be nicer while also using their mischievous side for good rather than unnecessary torment. Curiously, Nanny McPhee starts to become less prominent about 2/3 of the way through, as we start to focus more on the plot of the father trying to remarry. Colin Firth as their father gives a strong performance, and he's someone who I don't think gets nearly enough credit for what a good comedic actor he is. Angela Lansbury is also a highlight as one of the central antagonists, able to get laughs from just her facial expressions. It's just a really witty and well-mounted production with that characteristically British dark humor that gives an added edge, but never in a way that feels gratuitous or meant for mere shock value. Interestingly enough, part of the plot of Nanny McPhee involves the father coping with his wife's death and trying to meet a deadline or else he risks losing the house. A similar story element factors into Mary Poppins Returns, which just happens to also feature Colin Firth and Angela Lansbury. And a few years ago, Emma Thompson played the role of P.L. Travers in Saving Mr. Bangs, a film about the writing of Mary Poppins. So like I said at the start of the video, quite a number of interesting connections going on between these two properties. In any case, I was happy to finally give Nanny McPhee a watch. But which one of these films do you prefer? Let me know in the comments, and thank you for your question, Red Bandit.